Welcome to Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Jesse Ott, the host of this podcast, which is all about beverage innovation. I talk with innovation pioneers from agriculture to glass. This week, I spoke with Bill Gamelli, the founder and CEO of Mocktails. He and two other families wanted an alternative to drinking over 10 years ago, well before the trend has taken place over the last couple of years. Bill's inspiration for creating Mocktails was a result of the struggle his wife endured while not only trying to get pregnant but also staying the course and becoming partner at her law firm. Bill quickly realized this was also a problem his closest friends were trying to solve, which resulted in Mocktails. Their latest iteration of Mocktails included Tales of the Cocktails winner Ezra Star. They use Ezra's expertise and sought out to source the exact botanicals that make their flavors unique and well-balanced. These uniquely named cocktails are low in sugar and calories, vegan-friendly, and 99% recyclable packaging. They are the highest-rated mocktails with Master, Double Gold, Golds, and Silver in both the Spirits Business, the Low and No Masters competition, and the San Francisco World Spirits competition in 21 and 22. Bill is a very inspiring individual. Not only has he co-founded companies in his career, he also co-founded the Adult Non-Alcoholic Beverage Association to increase awareness for this growing industry. Thank you for listening, and be sure to subscribe to be notified of all new episodes. Hello, everybody. This is Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Jesse Ott, and I have Bill Gamelli here from Mocktails. Welcome, Bill. I'm super excited to have you here with us.
Thank you, Jesse. We're privileged to be here. Thanks for the time.
So where are you calling in from today?
So today from Vermont, we live in outside of Boston, but we come up to Vermont for skiing. So actually I have twin 11-year-old kids on the mountain today in their ski race team. So it's awfully fun to be here in Vermont. And interestingly enough, I've done a number of my podcasts and interviews from this very spot.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So your kids are 11, you have twins? And they're both
11, and then an older son who is just turned 6. They just turned 11, and an older boy who just turned 16. So we have 3. We're blessed to have 3.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. And they're both into. What is the older one into skiing too? Then, or does he just come and watch them?
Oh gosh, no. So we have between the 3 kids, we have very serious baseball players, soccer players, swimmers, and they all 3 ski race as well.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I don't know how you find the time.
I don't either.
So if it's competitive skiing and you're in Vermont, then is it a traveling kind of thing, or do you go all over?
Well, no, it's mid-Vermont. We're in the mid-Vermont ski race circuit. So we're at a small mountain, but we do race at Killington and Pico and Okemo and Woodstock and Middlebury. That's our circuit. But we are not on one of the more competitive teams. We do it so that the kids become great skiers. Our kids probably won't become Olympians,
but that's okay.
But it's an awesome time, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of the kids we race against from some of the bigger mountains do become Olympians. And in fact, this morning we had Julia Ford, who is an U.S. Olympic ski team. Member of the U.S. Olympic ski team in the past. She was giving the talk to the kids this morning to get them psyched up for their race training today. So it's just awesome community to be a part of.
Oh, I love that. I'm from Iowa, so there wasn't a whole lot of skiing there, but we did go to Wisconsin and Minnesota from time to time. It's been years since I've been on skis.
Lindsey Vaughn grew up on a hill called Buck Hill, which is right near where my wife grew up. And it's one of the smallest mountains you've ever seen. And she became the world's best skier. So, it doesn't matter where you start. It's where you end up.
That's true. That's right. It's all the work you put into it, whether it's a big hill or small hill. That's funny. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Bill. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Massachusetts. I went to Boston University, where I was lucky enough to meet my wife at school at BU. And we lived and worked in Boston for many years. She became an attorney, which is all part of our story when we met, how we met. And then she went on to become an attorney and a partner in a law firm. And I went on to be on Wall Street for 15 years. And when I say that, it's a lot less glamorous than it sounds. I was always in Boston, but had clients all over the world. And I specialized in some exit transactions that I was doing for others. But that's all part of the story, is how we met, our careers, and I feel like I've been in training for, basically launching this company and launching these products, and learning how to become, a leader of through mentors and other folks that I've worked with over the years, to lead a company and not just build a product, but build a solution, not just build a company, but build a culture, and literally be one of the founding members of the entire industry, because we were early in the journey, but become a founding member of the industry. So literally building an industry on top of everything else. So it's been quite a journey, but it literally started when I met my wife in college in Boston at BU, all those years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. So you were in Wall Street. So what kind of career did you have there?
Well, I started like so many, just going into a training program of one of the big firms, and learned very quickly that I needed to have a specialty. I was not going to I didn't believe I would be successful being a generalist. I just didn't have the background. I didn't have the training. I didn't go to an Ivy League school like so many others did. So what I did is I through another mentor, I found a specialization in what was a very small cottage industry at the time. We're talking, let's go in the time machine back to 1995. The venture capital industry and the word private equity didn't even exist back then. Private equity was almost like a subset of venture capital, and private equity became not only its own industry, but dwarfs venture capital now in terms of the amount of money being managed in private equity. So as I was working with a few very small private equity funds, they were smaller than venture capital at the time. So I specialized in venture capital and private equity exits. And I specialized in that business, and I was very privileged to learn that business and also kind of become one of the founders of that type of business that I was doing. There was a handful of us that did this business around the world, very small handful, and others have gone on to be tremendously, hugely successful doing what they're doing. And we had a great run of it. But what I learned from it, what I took away from it, was I was working with entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, venture capital, private equity investors, and I literally could have the bird's eye view of how people were building companies and growing companies, and then bringing those companies either public or going M&A. And I saw thousands and thousands of companies, some of which didn't do very well and some of which went out of business, but a few of them did extremely well. And I learned from that experience, and I thought to myself, I absolutely love what I do every day, but boy, I feel like I'm well suited to someday create my own company. So I made that my goal, and then, here we are.
Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. And so the exit piece of it, what does that mean?
So when a founder in a founding group of investors and families or individuals come together to create a company, you can either grow that company and remain totally private. You can stay a private company forever, or you can grow that company and then sell it to a larger company, thereby exiting the company. Or you could become a division of that company. You may not exit really, but you may call it an exit transaction, but you may become a division of a larger company. Or there's another pathway, which is you stay independent, but rather than being private, you go public on the public markets through an initial public offering or an IPO. So for the investors I was working with and the companies I was working with, they were either going through a merger and acquisition, or they were going public through an IPO. And that's where I would, do the work that I was working on, which was basically helping them post-public exit transactions. It sounds very sophisticated. It sounds like high finance, but really all I was doing was helping them gain access to their money that they had made, and they owned shares in a company. I was helping them gain access to the cash that they needed access to through their company shareholdings. That's really all it was.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Or what decisions did you make, or what opportunities came to you to leave that industry?
So again, being so fortunate to work with some really, really great and talented, super smart people. Over the years, I had learned that my mentality, my chemistry, sort of just who I was. I was more geared towards being an entrepreneur than working inside of a huge company. And everybody has to find their calling and everyone finds their path. And for me, I just found that to be a very attractive path. So my partner and I, we left together on the same day to start a company. And we went through that life cycle, and that didn't work out so well. We
It's
started a company, and it just, sometimes it doesn't work.
yep.
And we actually went through that process though, and it was a tremendous, incredible learning experience. I don't regret, anything I've ever done. It was just a big growth experience and learning experience. But through that first company that we created, which was an international company based in, actually it was based in China, but I was here in the U.S. Um, I discovered this need, this desire through my wife and friends and family that existed for an alternative to alcoholic products, because there was just a lot of us being left behind. So when I saw the pain and the what my wife was going through as a person, as we were trying to get pregnant with our children, it was very painful for her to go through the roller coaster. It took us a while. We were having trouble. It took us a while to have our kids, but she couldn't drink, and she wasn't, she had quit caffeine. She was doing everything she could possibly do to not only, get pregnant, but stay pregnant. And through that process, though, she became less and less social because not drinking. Of course, you'd be asked the questions all the time. Why aren't you drinking? Would you like a glass of wine? Can I get you something at the bar? Is everything okay? Are you sick? Are you getting pregnant? Are you, are you in recovery? Should I not be offering you a drink? And so there was a lot of psychological, emotional roller coaster that goes on when you're not drinking. But most of the world was sort of immune to it or blind to it. But she was really going through this. And I saw the impact that it had on her. And it took me a while to put two and two together. But once I saw that, wait a second, this is just, it's not that you don't want to be with your colleagues, your clients and your partners. It's this very disruptive, very unsettling conversation that you constantly have to have around why aren't you drinking. That's causing you to not be social. It's causing you not to want to be in those environments. So there must be a product. There must be something out there that we can bridge, the gap, and that way you can stop talking about why you're not drinking and just enjoy yourself. So I searched the world over. I mean, the internet was obviously invented at the time. So this was going back 11 years ago, 12 years ago. The internet was clearly there. Google was there. I mean, I searched everywhere on earth. I could not find anything. Well, there was one product. It was called O'Doul's. that was
Yeah,
that was
right.
the only thing that
That's
was in
bitter.
existence. But Tracy's not a beer drinker. So I was like, gosh, I can't believe there's nothing out there. There's water, soda, lemonade, iced tea, and the godforsaken, thing we always used to get was cranberry seltzer. That was literally, that was the go-to for everybody. Oh, I'll just have a cranberry seltzer. But how many cranberry seltzers can you have when everyone else is drinking beer, wine, spirits, cocktails? Everyone's enjoying themselves, and you got your cranberry seltzer. It's really not fair. It really is not
Yeah.
second-class citizenship life you're leading. So I looked everywhere, and then one day on the beach, I'll never forget it, I sat up in my chair and I said, oh my gosh, honey, what if we created a product that you could enjoy in those social environments? We could totally make this, make this product for you. And I had to think about it, though. I put my Wall Street hat back on and I said, well, is there a market? Is there pain? What are the market dynamics behind, starting a product to solve any given problem? Like so many entrepreneurs before me, if you look at every new company, everything from Jeff Bezos, identifying that we needed to do things better from a supply chain point of view, and he started with books, and Steve Jobs with what he did with bringing the mainframe computer to a personal computer, to other everyday products. Michael Dell did the same. There was just so many examples of entrepreneurs that identified a pain point or a need, and then created products to address, or services to address that need. That's all we did. Is we said there's a huge need, there's a real pain. People would be willing to pay for products to solve their need. And so we started looking into creating the company. And then I talked to friends. This is, Jesse, where it was so unbelievably surprising. when I talked to friends of ours and I said, look, we're going confidentially, this is what we're going through, having trouble getting pregnant. Tracy's trying to become a partner in her law firm. And, every time they asked her if why she's not drinking, are you getting pregnant or are you trying to get pregnant? That's a super highway to the mommy track, not the partner track. Because, if you're going to be a true partner, if you're really going to work hard and be a partner, then, usually there's no, usually the people that are going to be partners in the firm, they don't have kids, especially women. So the glass ceiling is real. Any man that's listening out there, we lived it. I want you all to know that the glass ceiling is real for women. I mean, you guys as women have to decide a lot of things that we as men are completely ignorant to. We don't understand. So I lived this reality with her. And when I called friends to say confidentially, this is what we're going through, and I wanted to run this by you because, we kind of feel like we're the only ones. And I was stunned not only to find out that our friends were going through the same journey we were, although for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We also learned on that first phone call that they were starting a beverage company to solve the same problem, that I was starting Mocktails to solve the same problem. And we just
Oh,
didn't
wow.
know each other, even though we had known each other our whole lives.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. I guess when you put it out in the
Yes.
universe, it
Yes.
really works, doesn't it?
We were
That is super
shocked.
cool.
And so what we decided to do, Jesse, was we decided to meet and put it all out there and say, let's look at your ideas. Let's look at my ideas. Let's all get together and figure out, best of ideas win, period, end of story. And we're, maybe we can team up. So we did. In our three families, there were 3 drinkers and 3 non-drinkers. And we said, wow, we look just like America, because 45% of American adults do not drink alcohol in any given month, whether that's for medication or pregnancy or religion or recovery, whatever your reason is. 45, and that's the USDA, the Department of Justice, and the CDC all agree on that number.
Wow.
There's a huge number of people in any given month, but are being social, that aren't drinking. And then around the world, there are literally 3 billion of the 7 billion people on earth don't drink for their own reasons. So there's a lot of people out there that need access to a better solution, or a solution, than just soda, water, lemonade, iced tea, cranberry seltzer. So we just joined forces and found the company with our 3 families. But the other interesting thing was, we weren't creating a product for non-drinkers only. We took a completely different approach to most companies that are in the space. Most companies that are in the space are creating alcohol alternatives only, and that's what they're doing, which is perfectly fine. And I think there's a lot of great products out there. But we chose to basically solve for the occasion, as opposed to create a product for non-drinkers. And what I mean by that is, we are a fully inclusive product, which means if you're in mixed company, and men, women, old, young, drinkers, non-drinkers, that's fine. If the drinkers want to add alcohol to their mocktail, they're welcome to do that, because our desire was for the 6 of us, as 3 non-drinkers and 3 drinkers. We just wanted to enjoy time together. We wanted to be together. We wanted to literally celebrate together. And we didn't want to be on different platforms. We didn't want to be drinking our beer, wine, and spirits while they were drinking some non-alcoholic product. So basically, we created something for the occasion that addresses the solution, where everyone can be together drinking the same drink in the same glassware at the same time. The difference is, Jesse, you might have alcohol in yours, but I may not have alcohol in mine, but it all looks and feels the same. And no one has to ask you why you're not drinking.
Yeah, or even really know. I mean, if everything looks like a cocktail, then nobody's going to even bother to ask. And what I love about what's happened with this industry in these last few years is it's become normalized and accepted, and people are they're not judging, or it's not so much a judgment, but it's not like kind of the struggle that your wife went through. Well, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? That I've been meeting more and more people over the years that just don't drink, and now I'm excited to have them over, and I have a lot of options to choose from. So it's a win-win for everybody, and I'm super excited about what you guys are doing. So So what happened after you guys kind of talked and like what was the next step?
That's where the journey began,
Yeah.
and it's been quite a trip for sure. So, well, we two of our founders had been bartenders, and they helped us come up with formulas for the drinks. And what we decided to do at the time was to come up with flavors that people were familiar with. So things like Moscow Mule and Sangria and Cosmopolitans and margaritas, people know and love. So we decided to start there. Later in the journey, we've decided to, move on, and we can share some of the new product development things that we have coming. But we decided to create flavors that were loved and understood, and create non-alcoholic versions of those. And really the first thing I did was I said, well, if I can just take a margarita mix or take a cosmopolitan mix and just water it down and drink it, then there's no business here. There's no pain here. But as it turns out, you certainly can't do that, especially in the United States. Here in the States, we have so many chemicals, preservatives, yellow dye number 57. I mean, every filler and chemical you can think of, and preservative. Oh my gosh, it's really like we wanted to create something that was not just a non-alcoholic alternative, but we wanted to create something that was truly better for you. And because my wife was going through pregnancy, what we decided to do was we decided to say, if a pregnant mother would not put it in her body, it doesn't go in the drink, period.
I
There is
love that.
nothing that we're going to put in these drinks, because what if a pregnant mother wants to have a non-alcoholic drink at some stage, and she has a choice, and then she drinks something in your drink that could, harm her or her baby or whatever. We're just like, why? There's no need. There's no need to put that stuff in drinks. But for
Yep.
whatever, our US food system has produced just thousands and thousands of food additives and chemicals and preservatives and so forth. So we decided to go the fully clean route. And then it was getting to work on how do we actually make this drink taste good. So that was the next problem was, well, that's a bigger issue than anybody could possibly understand back then. There's a lot
Right.
of products today that taste good, but there were none back then. And to
None.
all the junk and
Yeah.
gunk of the product was very difficult. Now, something that Ezra Star taught us, who Ezra Star is one of the world's best mixologists, and she helped us create the formulas that we make today. But one thing she said is, hey, it really is easy to take all the junk and gunk out of a product, but it doesn't taste good. Or it's really easy to make it taste good, but it's full of junk and gunk. But it's really, really, really hard to take all the junk and gunk out and have it taste beautiful. And that's what you've done. And that's a victory. And we're going to make it even better by working and balancing our flavors. But that is a victory in and of itself. So that was the process of starting with an idea, starting with a concept, and then iterating on that concept. And, to really start not just a new company, a new product, but to start an industry that's never been there before, you have to learn quickly, and you have to learn to fail and be okay with failing and then moving on. So we had our first version, our second version, our third version, and we've ended up in a place where we've got, now world-class ingredients made to the absolute top standards and world-class awards. And, we're the most awarded non-alcoholic cocktail company. And, but that's been an evolution over time, Jesse.
Wow, that's awesome. I love what you say, what you said about failing. I think that's definitely it's hard to do. It's hard to do, but what's exciting about that is that you've had so many iterations and you've learned so much, I'm sure, through different flavors and combining different ingredients. And on your website you say you scour the earth to go find all these really cool ingredients, and I think that is so smart. And I'm I, I can't say this for sure, but I would say that if you were doing this, that long ago, that was you probably were the industry leader in doing that. You know,
Well, you could say we were kind of crazy because we we thought it could be done. And the
I love
question
it.
we literally asked, that the six of us had to sit together and say, is it too much to ask to have a clean drink that tastes adult and tastes great without the alcohol? Is that too much to ask? And we said, well, we don't think so. We think the answer is no. but let's go out and prove it. So it really took a lot. And I'm so glad that some people do read the website, because yes, that's the way we had to scour the earth. And, it's somewhat getting easier. And there are processes and procedures that now you can go through. But we internally now, we have a new product development process, which is, we think, second to none. And we think we can have dozens and dozens of flavors over time, and have them be world-class ingredients, world-class flavors. And literally, the word mocktail, I want to put it right out there. The word mocktail is controversial. When I first started, there wasn't a person that I met anywhere in the United States of America that even had heard of the word mocktail before. I mean, it was like 99.9 out of 99.9 people, 99.9% of the people had never heard of it before. Then it was like, that's a great idea. Wow, what a great concept. Then it became, well, we don't like the word mocktail because you're mocking something. And I'm like, well, not really. Mocktail just happens to rhyme with cocktail, and it describes what the product is. And so some people actually didn't like the word mocktail because it seems like it was a little bit too pedestrian. And it reminded people of a Shirley Temple and, a kid's drink. And so we've gone through that phase. But what's actually happened is because we came around and we are mocktails.com. We created Mocktails as a brand. We got the name out there. When people would Google non-alcoholic cocktails, the word mocktail would come up, and now other companies have adopted, the verbiage of mocktail. Basically, the word now mocktail has become the global global consumer's way of describing what it is they want, is the word mocktail. So we've gone through these iterations. And so, yes, it was not easy. We did have to scour the earth. We had to be the first, and it was okay. I mean, we've been through a lot. We've been through, many years of perfecting what we have today. But what's wonderful is we're in a great position today. We've lived through the trials and tribulations, and we've lived through COVID and Brexit and everything else that we had to live through. But today we have a tremendous brand and a tremendous platform and a tremendous new product development methodology, and we're excited for what's to come.
So what's the tie into the UK?
It's a great question. Thank you for asking. After we got started in the US, it was very clear to me that I could not quite get the ingredients and the super hyper clean drinks I wanted at that pinnacle. I wanted to be not just a better drink. I wanted to be the best drink on earth is what I was going for. And I couldn't get there because of our ingredient sourcing. There was a lot of GMOs in the market. There was the flavorings weren't quite there.
That's very interesting.
Manufacturing processes weren't there. The manufacturing equipment wasn't quite right for what I wanted to accomplish here. So for years I struggled mightily, and through struggle you learn to get better. Through struggling and realizing that I could not create the world's best drink with what I had access to in the United States. What I learned was if I want to have the absolute world's best ingredients and world's best solution in the right packaging, in the right way I wanted to do it, I had to open up my mind and say, where on earth can I make what I think is the best on earth? And what I realized is there was a renaissance going on in the UK. So there were other people that were, looking at this premiumization of soft drinks, and there was this non-alcoholic trend was beginning over there too. And what I decided to do was, if you want to be a part of the Renaissance, you have to move where the Renaissance is happening. So we decided to be a part of the Renaissance going on in and around London. And so
when was that? That's interesting.
That was, we started our process in 2017 over there. And by the time we had a drink in the bottle over there, I think it was 2018. So we basically started from scratch. We completely started everything all over again.
Oh, wow.
We asked Ezra Star to help us out. And we started from the ground up. We basically rethought every ingredient.
Oh, wow.
Processes. We basically took the original flavors that we had loved, but weren't quite what we wanted them to be. And we started from zero, and we completely rebuilt the ingredient deck, the supply chain, and the manufacturing processes. So we basically moved the the facilities and the idea of making the product to the UK, and now we can export from the UK to the rest of the world. So we're an imported product into the US today.
Oh wow, okay. So you started all over from scratch on your four cocktails.
Yes, we did, and
Wow.
thank goodness we did, because that's when Ezra helped us, and we started all over again. And I think what we went from is, I would call what we had in the U.S. all those years ago, I would say that was a 4-star solution, and it was good, and we got a lot of praise, and we got so much support back then. In fact, we were in Whole Foods. I mean, we were moving the needle, but we weren't what we wanted to be. So I would say, once we got the whole system redone, and we sourced the world's best ingredients, not just the best ingredients from the US, we sourced the world's best ingredients. Now, where I would say we're a 5-star drink, and there's double blind, spirit award ceremonies from San Francisco to London that have basically confirmed that. It's not just me saying that. That's independent sources have confirmed that, we've got double golds and masters and platinums and silvers, and we've got all these awards now that back that up. So what we say is, we are redefining what a non-alcoholic cocktail experience can be, and therefore redefining what the word mocktail is, because some people still think a mocktail is Shirley Temple, but we're redefining what the category and what the word mocktail can be.
I love that. Is there anything you can tell us that, like a major change from the first iteration to this second one here that you've created that really was a game changer? Is there anything that stands out about the process or the ingredients that, really made the big difference?
Yeah, I would say the whole way we thought about building the drinks is totally different, and and the way that we, so first of all, what we don't do is, we do not take alcohol versions of what we do and then de-alcoholize, which there's a lot of alcoholized beer and wine out there. There is very, very hard to de-alcoholize spirits, because it's 40% alcohol by volume. Very, very hard to do that. So what we do is, we build it from the ground up. We don't take alcohol and then de-alcoholize. But I would say we rethought the entire process from the ground up, and we got into, Ezra helped us get into, literally, the rebalancing of ingredients, everything from, wine grapes to sourcing lime juice to botanicals and spices and acids. And what I would say is, the quantum leap was in the chemistry of how we balance all the flavors, so that it becomes a subtle and sophisticated flavor, rather than what I would say what we had earlier was a beautiful, clean drink that was taste good, but it wasn't balanced. So it's hard to point to one thing, Jesse. What I'm getting to is, we had to rethink everything. We also wanted to present something that was totally versatile, inclusive, and solving for the occasion. So we have a very, very different product that's out there to most of the rest of the world, which is doing a lot of carbonated drinks and de-alcoholization, and all. By the way, there's room in the market for everybody.
Yep, there's room.
I'm a big believer that there's going to be dozens of huge successful companies in our space. There's not just one, ready to drink company, one beer company, one wine company, and one spirits company that's going to win. There are going to be a lot of winners in the space, because it's a big and growing category.
Yeah, and it's getting more and more powerful. So let's talk about you being a founding board member of the head of government affairs for the Adult Non-Alcoholic Beverage Association. Do you want to kind of talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure thing. In London in 2019, when the very first non-alcoholic industry summit was coming around, it was the very first time that any of us that were slaving away in obscurity could meet. And it turns out that the company that was creating the event, somehow we got in touch, and we as Mocktails ended up being the lead sponsor for that event. And I was one of the keynote speakers in the morning of the first day. I think it was, maybe it was the second day, but I was one of the keynote speakers. And what I tried to talk about was the industry, why this is happening, the consumer psychographics behind why this is happening, what is mindful drinking, and why is it happening. We had a lot of great speakers throughout the day, other leaders in the industry, lots of great thought leaders in the industry. And I want to tip my hat to Ben Branson over at Seedlip, because even though, we might have started around the same time, he got a lot of traction in the UK before I got traction. And so therefore, he's really probably the first thought leader to break through, to make really the industry really go. So Seedlip was probably the very first product to really break doors open for all of us. So hats off to Ben, and thank you for doing what you did. But what I talked about was the need for us to come together as an industry, and a rising tide lifts all boats. So let's all work together. And in the end, it was Mark over at Lyre's and Bill over at Athletic Brewing and I came together to say, if we can somehow create the momentum behind working and creating a industry association, we can then invite other brands, and then started in the U.S. and then we can have other chapters. So basically, we worked together with Marcos. We asked Marcos to join us, and we created ANBA, which is the Adult Non-Alcoholic Beverage Association. We created the first chapter, which is here in the U.S., and then we started a UK chapter, a UK EU chapter. And so now we have two chapters, but before you know it, we'll have something, in Asia Pacific, and it'll just keep growing. So what the vision was to create a global adult non-alcoholic beverage association that we could all work together to grow the market together with one voice.
Yep.
Because we're different than soft drinks and we're different than alcohol. We needed to be independent as an industry to share that voice with the rest of the world, to say, we understand there's a lot of non-alcoholic products out there, but we're not water, we're not soft drinks, we're not soda, we're not lemonade, we're not iced tea. And at the same time, we're not beer, wine, or spirits. And we're not cocktails. We're non-alcoholic cocktails, and we're non-alcoholic beer, wine, and spirits. So we have to have a voice and an industry association of our own. So we basically started that. And yes, I took on the government affairs piece. And my colleague Ed Gerard here at Mocktail Beverages, and also Rob Fink from Big Drop Brewing over in the UK. They're head of government affairs over in the UK, because as a new industry, as you can imagine, there's concerns and needs in terms of regulation and marketing and making sure we get this right for the public.
Wow, that's really smart. When I first saw that on your LinkedIn, I was like, wow, that's super, super smart. So what does that look like for beverage companies, or even NA Bev retailers or bars or cocktail bars? Is this something that they should be a member of, or how does that work?
Well, so we as producers are, and it's not just for non-alcoholic producers. There are alcohol producers that produce non-alcoholic products, and they would join as a full member. But we do have something called the affiliate membership. So if you are a packaging company, if you are a distributor, if you are if you want to be a partner in some way, yes, you can absolutely join as an affiliate member, because we're creating, as I mentioned, we're creating an industry, and that industry is a community. And so we invite the community to come join us to build this industry out. And I believe that this is not a niche. This is not a fad. This is not
right. It's not going away,
sort of thing. This is a new industry, and it is a growing industry that will be here for decades to come. So it's just the very beginning. If you look at a clock on the wall, we're probably in the first 10 minutes of the 12-hour clock for the industry. So we're gonna be building this for quite some time.
What was the first year that you really saw brands kind of popping up and it becoming a little bit more of a popular thing to do or to want as consumers?
Well, we were climbing. I felt like we were pushing a string uphill for a lot of years. So I would say it wasn't until probably 2018, 19 that I saw a number of brands starting to come onto the scene.
Okay, 18, 19, that I was thinking.
That was mostly in Europe. It's really only the last couple of years here in the States. probably
Yeah.
2020, maybe 2021. I'll tip my hat also to Sharelle over at Dry Soda. Sharelle had this idea many years ago, and she was even before me. And the route she took, because it was so early, she went down the soda route to try to get more sophisticated, better for you soda products in people's hands as an alternative to alcohol as well. So, we were just a few, Seedlip, Dry Soda, and a couple of others like me. We were just sort of these entrepreneurs that had this idea, but it was, I'd say, 2018 maybe in Europe, and then 2020, 21 here in the States. Now, keep in mind that over in Europe, they today have probably 100 amazing non-alcoholic beer brands. And here in the
Oh,
States, we have,
wow.
a handful. But all those beer brands are coming, and it's just the beginning of the category. It's coming, and it's going to be growing, and there's no stopping it. The way I put it, Jesse, is if let's say you're standing on the coast, and you look out at the ocean, and you see a ripple, on the horizon, and you think it's a wave in the ocean, but you don't know that it's a tsunami until it comes on shore. And then you realize, oh my God, that is not a wave, that's a tsunami.
Yeah.
That's what's actually happening. There's a tsunami coming, and most people can't see it. All they see is a ripple on the ocean right now, but it's coming.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I created this food and beverage innovation kind of concept, and that's kind of, I'm going all in, and that's why I started this podcast, because it's my passion. I love it. I love talking to entrepreneurs and people that are changing the beverage landscape, and you're certainly one of those. So I absolutely love it. My podcast yesterday was with the Bandbox Orlando. I interviewed Kevin Zepp and Victoria Van Winkle, and he has Orlando's first cocktail bar. It's really small concept. He was just testing it out. It's 500 square feet, so you have to make reservations. But he said in our interview that he thinks it's going to end up being 50-50, whereas people are going to be drinking 50-50. Either you like 50% are drinking alcohol, 50% non-alcohol. And I thought that was like a really big statement. But if you're saying 45% of people don't drink in any month, then those numbers probably aren't that far-fetched.
No, I don't think they're far-fetched, but if you really think about it, we all drink more than 50-50 non-alc as it is today, because if you do include your water, your soda, your lemonade, your iced tea, if you think about what you drink throughout life, you're probably drinking, a heavy drinker might drink, 20% alcohol or 30% alcohol as it relates to non-alcoholic. What we're really talking about is the drinking of adult non-alcoholic products in social occasions. I think that's what he means by 50-50.
Right.
So you know what? I don't doubt that will happen over time. It's just someone like him sees it coming, but not a lot of other people see it just yet. But I believe if we think back about 15 or 20 years ago, it was very hard to find a vegan meal. It was very hard to find a gluten-free meal. It was very hard to find a bar, restaurant, hotel place to eat that if you had allergies, that they would work around your allergies. And now it's everywhere. It's become normal.
Yes.
And what I believe is that in 5 or 10 years from now, it will simply be unthinkable for any food and beverage outlet to not have a full suite of adult non-alcoholic products for people to drink. It will be unthinkable. Whereas today, they are like, what is this weird thing that's happening called mindful drinking? Why aren't you okay with just having soda, water, lemonade, iced tea? Why do I need to have something better? The same questions were being asked when someone would ask for a vegan meal. Like, oh God, you know how hard that is? I don't have the supply chain. I can't find the products. I have to make a specific meal for vegans and vegetarians. That's very hard for me to do as a restaurant. But over time, the industry learns to adapt, and they will learn to adapt here too.
Yeah, and for an industry, really is slow as ours has been in the past, it's not slow anymore. I mean, there are more and more brands coming, and I think COVID was a great incubator for a lot of ideas because we have more products, being launched all the time, whether it's a tequila or whatever it is, and that's an exciting time. We also have a hotel here called the Ed Hotel, ETTE, and they are all non-alcoholic. The whole bar, the whole restaurant, everything, which I think is really, really cool. I got to get them on the podcast because I want to see how that's going. But yeah, it's super exciting. I want to swing back to our earlier conversation on the name Mocktails. So can you walk us through that process? Are you saying you guys created the name, or you guys helped create the idea of the Mocktail name?
Well, the way it was a completely organic thing that happened. Again, we were so early in the process. I had never heard of a mocktail. I had no concept of what a non-alcoholic cocktail would be. And I remember, it's in my notes, it's in my notebook. I remember going through everything, my whole analysis of is this possible, and so forth. And I started thinking about what the heck do you call this thing? And, the words non-alcoholic and alcohol-free and cocktails and all those things were coming up. And I remember writing it down and saying, is there such a thing as it's a mock cocktail? Is there such a thing as a mocktail? And if I could get mocktails.com, I'm doing this. Like, that would be the ultimate name because that just defines the whole concept. Now, there's non-alcoholic beers, wines, and spirits. So that doesn't, I'm not talking about those segments of our industry because they have a completely different thing going on. But for us and what we wanted to do, that would be the ultimate. And lo and behold, I looked it up and it was available. And I was like, well,
that's insane.
Either I'm crazy or I got something here that's pretty cool and pretty unique. So I just took the name and I just created a brand around it. So
I love it.
So what was out there though, Jesse, is there were no brands. There was no brands on earth. What was out there, as I found moms and some people around the world who had created something like recipes. There was recipes that were called a mocktail. And I could find some of them, if I Googled, I'd find a lady in India that created something called a mocktail. I found someone in the UK or the US or wherever. It could have been people in Iowa or in California, wherever. But so I didn't think up, like, I wasn't the creator of the word. The word had existed like any word. And I think there's evidence probably going back, into the 80s, back in England, where people had said the word, but there simply was absolutely nobody talking about mocktails or products named Mocktails. So mocktails.com was available, and I just basically grabbed the URL and started building a product line around it. And we literally were called Mocktails brand non-alcoholic cocktails in the beginning. And then we wanted to further define why we're unique and special. So we now call it, our brand is Mocktails Uniquely Crafted. That's our brand.
Yeah, I like that because they are definitely uniquely crafted. So you mentioned something about more flavors. I see you have, is this an espresso flavor that you have out?
Yes. Again, being on the cutting edge, we're the first company to do Nitro non-alcoholic cocktails, and we were the first company to do an espresso martini, by the way. It's not so simple to get that done well and get it into a can, let alone a Nitro can. So we were the first company, as far as we know, to do that. So we have a Nitro charged line of products, which are our original flavors plus our espresso martini. And it is wonderful. We actually, if you think about making espresso martinis 1 cup at a time, you make your espresso and then you make an espresso martini. We literally make our own. We literally make with coffee grinds, coffee beans. We literally source the coffee, the best coffee on earth, all the things that we do just to make everything so amazing. We have to literally go through a process of sourcing the beans, grinding the beans, roasting the beans, and then pressing the coffee espresso to create our amazing drinks. So again, very unique. We're not just
so cool.
We're not just doing it from a syrup. There are going to be other great products that are out there, but we chose to do it this way. So yeah, we have an amazing espresso martini, and I think you even have some with you.
I do.
Did you happen to put it in the refrigerator? Because the Nitro cans you want to put in the refrigerator, if they're cold, if you want to, even live, you could actually pop the can. As long as you've got your espresso martini glass nearby, you can pop the can, pour it from a little height, give it some height, let the bubbles kind of form. and then
Okay.
pour it into your espresso, into your martini glass or your coupe glass, your fancy, beautiful cocktail glass. Let the foam head create, and then have a sip, and you can enjoy as we're talking.
Okay. Well, why don't I go get it?
Amazing. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So this
So
is the Nitro. And
that's our
how long have
Nitro
you had
espresso
these?
martini.
Yep. Cafe Carnival.
Correct.
Okay, so it's coffee, cocoa, and vanilla. I like.
We
Okay.
called it Carnivale because I think that the Brazilian Carnivale is just so much fun.
It is fun. You have great names. I love the names of your stuff, of all the brands. Okay, so
Okay, that's the nitrogen exploding. So now pour it.
I love it.
Quickly into your glass from a
Okay.
little bit of height. Give it some height. There you go. Pour it. Yep.
All right.
Now what we should see is the foam forming. So you see the bottom of the glass where it's dark?
Yeah.
That's the nitro. The nitro bubbles are escaping the liquid now, and it's coming up and forming a nice foam head for you.
Oh, that is super awesome. See, like I said, no one would ever know. No one would ever know that you're not drinking alcohol.
That's right. So now if you got your coffee beans, you can put them on top. So then all of a sudden you can have people drinking full espresso martinis with vodka or gin, or we have people put tequila and bourbon, whatever you want in there. And then people drinking what you have there, which is non-alcoholic, but have a sip and enjoy while we're talking.
Let's do it. Oh, wow. It's silky and smooth. It's got, a lot of times with some of the RTDs, you get this kind of weird aftertaste. And when you were talking about your senses and 15%, in the wine industry, we really learn, what the aftertaste is and how long does it last in your mouth, and what's the finish. And this is silky smooth, beautiful. I love it. It's not overly sweet at all. It's you really kind of dug into the coffee, which I love. I gotta try this again.
Please keep drinking. So what we wanted to do, so to get back to the ethos of the whole company was, and we asked ourselves the question, remember, is it too much to ask to have something adult, non-alcoholic, rather than just soft drinks? And we thought, no, it's not too much to ask. But in order to get there, what we believed we needed to do, and we took the approach of, is we think about making our drinks the way a master winemaker would make their beautiful wines, or a master distiller, or a master brewer would the care, passion, ingredients, love, all the stuff that they put into these beautifully crafted liquors, wines and beers. We wanted to put the same passion and same care and love into creating something phenomenal. The only difference is it doesn't have alcohol in it.
Right.
And if we apply that level of passion and love to create beautiful products and beautiful experiences for people that they can create memories from, one of our tagline is turn moments into memories. We don't want you to just consume something non-alcoholic like you're consuming water or soda or lemonade. You're just consuming it for hydration or whatever. We wanted people to truly enjoy it and pair it with their food, and to create memories from the moments that they have with their friends and family. This is about creating an experience that you can enjoy. And so what happens is when you have someone that's not drinking, and let's say you're in a group and you've got folks that are drinking and then a few people that aren't drinking, the experience that the drinkers are having is a full food pairing, wonderful dining, what I would call a dining experience. And the people that are getting water, soda, lemonade, iced tea, they're kind of getting a second-class citizenship level of service and level of or a lack of experience. They may have the same food in front of them, but it's certainly not the same experience at all. So this is what we wanted to accomplish. And we feel like this, the drink that you're having right there, that you could have with any beautiful meal from any restaurant, from Michelin star down to pizza.
Oh, it's delicious. I absolutely love it. So what sizes do these mocktails come in?
So we chose specifically to be a 200 milliliter, perfect served every time, no waste, one drink at a time. Size, it's built for cocktails. So they're cocktail size servings for a purpose. And that was one of the reasons why being in Europe was easier than being in the States, because everything here was supersized. Everything was 12 ounces, much, much, much larger packaging. I was able to, create drinks from Europe in the perfect serve every time, because, when you go to Europe, you go to Paris, you go to London, you go to Rome, you go to places, and there's a lot of, there's just things are made in smaller, more special, more premium packages and more premium liquids. So that sort of fit what we were trying to accomplish here. So these are super premium, beautifully crafted, single serve cocktails in every can, every bottle.
And the Nitro came out when? I apologize.
Just recently. I mean,
okay.
We just got that finished. It's only been introduced in the UK in the last few months. And then we just introduced it here in the United States during Dry January. You can get it on Amazon, and you can get it at our website, mocktails.com. And on Fair, for those bars, hotels, restaurants, catering companies that want to purchase our product to serve to their guests, you can get it on Fair. And we have a number of distributors coming. We're distributed in the Mid-Atlantic. We'll be distributed in Florida, Texas, California, and about 14 states here very soon for hospitality. We're distributed in the Northwest. We're distributed, we don't have the country covered totally yet, but that's on the way.
So what kind of distributors are you using? Are you using
because the product is so versatile, we distribute through traditional alcohol distributors called 3-tier distributors.
Okay.
But then we're also distributed through grocery distributors. We're distributed through non-alcoholic. We're distributed through specialty distributors of all different sorts, because it's very versatile. It can be in natural and specialty food stores. It can be in liquor stores. It can be in bars, hotels, restaurants, catering facilities. So you need to be in food service. So basically, we're not limited to the distribution channels, but because we're a non-alcoholic cocktail, we feel like the alcohol distributors at some point will start to really understand that bars, hotels, restaurants, and retailers really need to provide this to their guests. So those alcohol distributors that are traditionally serving their customers, that are the trade customers for beer, wine, spirits, and cocktails, that they will need to supply, products like ours to those same outlets. So that's all coming.
Wow, that's great. That's exciting.
Thank you.
And as far as the Nitro, was there a specific decision that was made to have these available in Nitro cans?
Thank you. You're asking all the right questions, Jesse. It's as if I wrote you beforehand, but I didn't.
No.
It's for us. We just didn't want to be a flavor of carbonated drink, which to me is, there's room out there, and there's plenty of great brands out there that will be carbonated alternatives, which is fine. But we just never wanted to be carbonated. We felt like we wanted to be absolutely true to the passion and faith of and sort of the presentation of true cocktails. True cocktails, you put them in a shaker and you shake them, but you can't shake carbonated drinks. So you can make mixed drinks from carbonated mixers, but to make a true cocktail in a cocktail shaker, which was our heritage, we needed to be not only non-alcoholic, we needed to be non-carbonated. So that's why we ended up where we ended up.
Well, I think nobody's doing Nitro, so at least I haven't seen it. And really, most of it is carbonated. So you're really a niche here, I think. And that's really going to help you with your market penetration, I would think, because this is really cool. It's really fun.
Imagine drinking what you're drinking, but it being carbonated and coming in a can that's carbonated. It becomes a coffee flavored soda rather than a cocktail.
Yeah, it's different. It's absolutely. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. You definitely got the cocktail feel with this one, for sure. Yeah.
So thank you for asking that question. So our journey has been long, and it's a long and windy road, but we're in a great place, and we have new flavors coming that, as I mentioned in the beginning, we were breaking open, these concepts way early. We were pioneers. And we decided to go down the route of creating things that were familiar to people. And we still like those themes. There's an untold number of cocktails that are out there. There's thousands of cocktails. There's almost no cocktail that we feel like we couldn't, recreate non-alcoholic. But we're starting to get into flavors that have never truly existed before. And we create our own flavors. We create our own recipes. So you're going to see some really fun stuff coming.
Yay,
really cool,
that's
fun
exciting.
stuff. Yeah, and we'll always be in that cocktail lane, but we have some other things coming too that'll be really, really fun. And we also will have what we call regional flavors. So things that will appeal to folks in Asia might be different than the folks in the Middle East, which will be different from the folks in the UK, which might be different from the folks in California. Like, there will be regional favorite flavors that will, in South America, there will be regionalized flavors as we grow around the world. We're going to regionalize our flavors, and we're going to take inspiration from around the world as well.
That is exciting. I love this. Bill, this has been an amazing journey. Thank you for joining us. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I think I'd stay on this podcast with you another hour if I could, because it's just so, you're an amazing person, and I just really love what you're doing with your company. And so I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. You are my 7th guest, so I'm super psyched that I had you in my first 10. So I love it.
Lucky number 7.
There you go.
There's a story here as well. So my young son always loved the number 7. And it turns out our last name, Gamelli, is 7 letters. And he has always loved number 7. And now he's, I'm wearing a Notre Dame hat right now because he's been recruited to play baseball for Notre Dame.
Wow,
we're so
that's
proud
great.
Of him. Yeah, we're so
that's
proud
huge.
of him. And he, throughout his young life, throughout his young career, he became known as number 7. He was always number 7. So they call him, his name is Gian. And so they call him G7.
Oh,
so
I love that.
There's a theme
that's
here
cool.
that I'm number 7 on your show, and it fits in with a big part of our lives.
Wow, the universe is amazing. That is really cool. I love that.
I call it karma, and it's no accident that one of our drinks is called karma. It's called Karma Sucra. The
awesome.
idea behind that was the literal translation is sweet karma.
Oh, I love that. That's cool.
And I believe in karma, and the universe works in amazing ways. And, it is karma that brought us together today through some amazing people that I've met along my journey who connected us today. So I want to thank you and thank them for having me on today and even putting us together. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Well, we'll have to stay in touch. I want to know your progress. And I was thinking about doing a little recap at the end of the year, and just kind of maybe send an email, or maybe do just maybe a quick podcast just to see your progress through the year, because you have these people on as podcasts you learn their story, and then you never know what happens after, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that we keep in touch with your progress. So I see great things with this company and with your leadership.
I'd love to come on again. I'd love to come on again, and what we can do is we can create different themes, different topics of conversation, not just industry updates, not just company updates, but we can dive into all kinds of amazing topics. Like, I'm a big student of consumer behavior. So
perfect.
There's just so many topics we can dive into, psychology of things, and the size of the market, and there's just amazing things we can talk about. So we'll agree to see each other again.
Yeah. I'd love to have your mixologist on with you too sometime. Maybe we can just talk about that journey as well, and how she kind of helped you guys with this second, I guess,
iteration,
product launch.
Our new product line.
Yeah.
Well, happy to put something together. Thank you so much for your time today, Jesse.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Well, we'll say bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Produced by Fedora J Productions.